Hello everyone and welcome back to another song review here on my channel for Eurovision 2025. Today, on this Thursday, the song from Austria was released for Eurovision. It's called Wasted Love by JJ, and when it was released, I was told and I was encouraged to just kind of listen to it right away and really sink my teeth into this song. So I've done that today. I've really tried to gather my thoughts as clearly as I can in my head anyway to make out what I actually think of this song. And today I'll just be sharing really everything that I think about when I listen to the song. And yeah, as we listen to it here together in this video, I'll stop here and there, I'll pause around, I'll just comment on the things that are going on in the song, and hopefully I can get my points across as clearly as I possibly can, I suppose. This is obviously a very cinematic song. I'm sure that you've gathered that much as well, and let's really see what it's doing in here that makes it just kind of match that ambition that it really sets out to have. So we'll start off the song. I'm playing a music video here, so hopefully no problems with the copyright in that sense. What we start off with, a little bit of piano work here, and one thing you notice, we'll pause right away here. You got kind of the bass notes in the left ear and then the brighter notes in the right ear, which is quite a nice little touch here to just kind of create this wide soundscape right from the get-go. They're definitely going to utilize this more as we go through the song. So yeah, just keep that in mind as we go along, because it's quite nice how that actually expands and gathers more depth throughout the song. Vocally, this obviously stands out. We can just listen to his voice. It's quite clear in the soundstage here. Here's something quite cool as well. There you go, the major 5 chord. It's kind of used as a little bit of a transitional device here early on in the song. It's also going to return, but as the vocal just kind of flows naturally on top of here, melodically it's pleasant. Transitional major 5 chord going down again. We've got the kind of like a bridge section here, introducing a little bit of strings here to just kind of create some warmth, something mellow in the backdrop. Quite an effective transitional device, really. As you feel like the melody kind of switches up vocally here, which into a very nice, I would say both rhythmic flow and also the intonation here I find quite pretty. It definitely is a song that sets the tone early on. We're 49 seconds into the song, and I feel like it's not feeling like it's been dragged out so far. It's definitely still a very careful introduction to the song, and I feel like we've definitely been lulled into just kind of taking in this whole array of sounds that we're being presented with. It's very scaled back at the moment, it's quite minimalistic, but you still have that feeling of this is a wide song. It's quite a large soundscape that they're gonna, of course, expand on, and we already get that feeling from this introduction. I'll just go back a little bit and we can take in this actual melody a little bit more. There's something, you know, about that kind of rapid movement in the melody there, combined with some more kind of swaying vocal lines. Again, the transitional phrase down into this part then, okay. Obviously, vocally this is kind of standout part, very characteristic, makes the song stand out. You can also hear in the backdrop the cellos, very dramatic, big kind of dramatic hits as well on the impact in the backdrop. Also got like the piano chords being very much drowned in the lower register to just kind of create this little bit of an oomph at the very back of it all. Quite a nice dynamic along with this super bright vocal, of course, which just comes across quite greatly, I would say. Yeah, quite nice. Okay. No, killing out, taking out all the air really, and then leading into the second verse with a little bit of a pause there. It's just to kind of digest, like let the listener digest to what we've heard so far. Quite effective in doing that. And now, of course, the second verse comes in, and we're going to introduce a little bit of a subtle kick beat or drum beat here. First thing that you notice here, the vocal harmonies. First time we hear them, I'll bump up the volume a little bit and let's just take them in. Again, the wide panning, you got voices in both ears, along with the piercing one right in the middle. Obviously, this polyphonic kind of way of doing it just creates that dynamic and really highlights it, so it becomes even more contrasting to what we just heard. So quite a nice little touch. Makes sure that the song feels like it's developing, along with how the percussion joins in here, of course. And one thing you notice as well with the percussion is that it's using panning quite well here as well. Very big drums. You got definitely like highlighting the fact that we got a pretty big drum kit. It kind of wants to visualize that image of like a large drum kit, because they emphasize certain of the drum hits. Some of them are in the right ear, some of them are in the left ear, to just kind of give you this feeling, an immersive feeling, and you see the drum kit in front of you. It's actually wide, just like the headphones that you're listening in. Again, with the strings being very poignant in here. Vocally, it's of course the standard part, but I feel like the backing track is incredibly melodramatic here, very immersed as well. It's incredibly loud and expressive, which could be too much for a lot of listeners, I would say. Also feel like there's a little bit of an elevation here in the strings now. And that is actually quite nice, because you got the beat kind of being consistent in here, and then for the very finale of it, you feel like they're killing the beat entirely, just sparsely kind of putting the details, some rhythmic hits here and there to just kind of emphasize the fact that there's still a progression to it, but this is like the dramatic resolution leading into our final section of the song. And what's to come? Well, we're gonna find out. But let's just listen to it one more time. Taking in. Drumming is quite intense here. It's not super energetic, but it's very distinct in where it actually hits. But here, very sparse. Just there for effect, really. And now we feel the tempo automation. Very effectively arranged this. What can we say about that? I mean, it's very effective. You just got this kind of glitching sound effect of just cutting out the audio completely to kind of introduce the electronica section of the part of the song, really. And it's done very, very nicely. It kind of takes you back a little bit as a surprise when you listen to it, but very, very well done so, I would say. Because you got this very, very large high note, very extended and quite compelling, really. Like, it takes over the soundstage entirely. All of the focus is on this high note. Then tempo automation comes in. You feel like the pulse of the track is there. A little glitching effects, that a little bit of just a rhythmic device there, but it really introduces the way that this song switches to electronica, because the glitch effect is of course a very digital input in your track. Now what's going on here though in the high note? This is going to be quite interesting though, because like when we see it live, can't really do a vocal chop on the high note, can you? If that's the case, then you got to do it like with a digital input, but I would assume that they want to perform this live with that vocal. So it's probably just going to be a long high note, which I'm fine with, but what I really like when listening to this as a studio cut is the fact that I love how it's chopped like this, because it really emphasizes that rhythmic intensity of the input, really. Like, it's not really an instrumental input, it's a vocal input, but it's also been pitched, like it's in such high pitch that you just feel like it's a part of the instrumentation, really. So let's just listen to the actual intensity of this vocal chop. It's obviously monotonous, but that's the way it should be. The intense, rapid succession of this staccato work on this vocal chop. And as well, you got like these horns, very incredibly bombastic horns that just takes over everything, really. Then of course the beat kind of picks up as well. There's a lot of development going on through this finale of the song, because this is a proper finale. There's a lot to just kind of delve into here, but the main thing is probably like we still have the same kind of concept instrumentation wise. It's just that they put more and more layers on top of it to make sure that you feel the development of the track is there. Really loving the vocal chop, of course. Also, nice little detail with the wasted. So you throw them like right ear first, then left ear, right ear, left ear. So you kind of continue to kind of create this immersive listen of making sure that it's a complete soundscape with the panning here. Another just nice little touch to that, I suppose. You really feel like this choir that's just saying wasted, really. You feel like they are also a group of people put on each side of the recording booth or the stage or whatnot to kind of provide that input. If we listen to the drum beat here, it's very high in energy, of course. Here comes in more beat, you know, get kind of like a hi-hat and the snare coming in here. Just kind of creating and making sure that there's another layer of rhythm in there. Of course, throughout the whole thing, it's all about the vocal, and that's very poignant. However, there's a lot of substance behind that vocal in terms of the instrumental that this song has that I think actually elevates it as well. The production sounds strong, I would say. At times, I feel like it's incredibly loud, but that's exactly what they want to do. It could definitely become way too loud for certain listeners, though. I would completely understand if it just feels overbearing or kind of intruding in a way, or just like too much. It becomes kind of a distraction to listen to because it's all out kind of intensity in terms of that instrumental. The horns and the brass is very, very dark and kind of bombastic in its input. The drumming is intense, specifically so towards the end. The vocals are obviously a lot to take in only on themselves. So it could become a lot of different kind of clashing inputs. For me, it kind of works. I think that I'm just very hooked by what they're trying to set out and the fact that the transition work between the different sections, and particularly leading into this finale, is so kind of carefully planned out to make sure that it works. I really, in particular, love this kind of tempo automation that it's using, and then the introduction of the glitch effect to kind of emphasize or highlight the fact that we're moving into an electronica section towards the end. I think those are just clever ideas that are just done perfectly right to make sure that the song feels cohesive as it is. I could be, alone in that impression of the track, but I feel like it really ties itself together because of these small little elements that actually tie the song together. I think we should just listen to the finale of the track once more. So obviously this is the very bombastic final kind of bridge leading into the finale then. And as you can see, the high note ties this together as the tempo is gradually, very carefully, and kind of subtly introduced. Kind of got like a little bit of a clock effect in the right ear as well, kind of ticking as well as the tempo picks up in the track. Then of course the beat comes in here. It's quite addictive, isn't it? A little bit of a head nodder. And of course that goes into combination. Like the beat is completely on the beat throughout the whole thing. No real like rhythmic sways or anything to it. But of course the layer of the fact that the vocal chop is so rhythmically intense in its staccato movement, that makes the rhythm feel much more lively and really engaging, and you feel like the hype of the track is really coming across in a completely different way because of it. Obviously this is kind of just like a little bit of like a long high note finishing off the song. It just keeps going. You got the beat, like the drum beat kick, expanding. Different melodic line here, but still, no lyrics or anything like that. Just high notes. And obviously, like it becomes so clear and highlighted the fact that the reverb work on everything here is so heavy. Particularly like during the ending, you really just hear that, because when they actually kill the backing track, you just feel so much resonance, and the release is just eternal in actually leaving the song. If we just listen to the very ending of it all, you can just hear how long the actual sound input is still maintained. That's kind of highlighting why we have so much reverb in here. Like even after the note is done, you still hear the backing track. It's still kind of resonating in there to try and kind of leave the song, I suppose. Very expressive in that regard, of course, and the heavy reverb use is also one of these things that could be very tiresome for a lot of people. It is like that massive to the point where I would completely understand why it's just too much. But it's all part of the soundscape in the song, I suppose. It tries to be so atmospheric, tries to be entirely world building, and I can appreciate what it does with that. The reverb usage is a lot, but it's also kind of the point, I suppose. One thing that I really think about when I listen to the song as well is the fact that the vocals are heavily, heavily processed. There's a lot of mixing done on them, and that could, of course, make the experience that when we see this live a little bit different from what we hear now, particularly during this final part, of course, where the vocal chops are really highlighting the rhythm of the song. If we just have a high note there, not really establishing these kind of rhythmic chops in that high tempo, will it be a different kind of experience for us to listen to? Probably, but whether it will be better or worse, I'm not sure. We'll just have to find out. But there is a lot of work on this. It's incredibly digital in terms of its execution here, and that obviously can always make sure that we can be a little bit tentative in what we actually think of the song before we see the performance. As a studio cut, I think it's a very intriguing listen. I enjoy it quite immensely, but it's also a listen that can get a bit much, I would say. I don't think that this is the most replay friendly of songs out there, but it's definitely an experience for its 3-minute runtime. One thing that I think about as well though, like for the finale here, or like the ending of the song, you really feel like this constant development that it's doing from this electronica section really being introduced, it feels like that could obviously go on for longer. We're in a time limit rule, so they have to take consideration to that. But the first part of the song is definitely elongated. It's quite long and a bit of a slow burn to really get through. I think that it matches the song very nicely. I think it builds up drama very well in this part. But if they would have liked to really like emphasize and use the final part of the song even further and actually develop it even more, that's probably where you would have cut the track a little bit, because it does take a long time to really get going. And even though the second chorus, I suppose you'd call it, is quite grand before the final part of the song, it does not really have like the energy leading into it, and that of course makes the kind of whiplash effect of the final part of the song hit even harder, I suppose. It's all a bit of like subjective taste at the end of the day, but one thing is for sure, it's definitely a song that you will remember. It's eye-catching, it's ear-catching, I suppose that's the term, and it stands out. And as I said, I'm quite fascinated by listening to it. And hopefully I've gotten my points across in this video. I think that there are a lot of things to just kind of digest and delve into when it comes to this song, but I think I've gotten the most of it kind of out now. So yeah, hopefully it's been... I don't know why I'm still wearing these. Hopefully it's been somewhat interesting to listen to what I have to say. If it hasn't, I'm sorry. I've gotten some complaints in my previous video that people think I should shut up a bit more when I do this, but that's not the point of these videos. I just want to talk about what I think of these songs. And if my pausing and my jumping around bothers you, there are plenty of other YouTube channels you can watch reviews from. This is the way that I want to do it, at least for now. It also helps against the copyright system, so that's that's a help as well. But yeah, hopefully the video was alright. Thank you so much for watching this one. Please let me know what you think of Wasted Love here. Do you think this could be a winning contender? I probably assume so, because it definitely is one of these songs that certainly stands out. However, all of it's gonna come down to the live performance, and maybe people are tired of this as well. I mean, it has its similarities to the Code from last year, of course. It's kind of within the same vein of what do you say, like incredibly outstanding efforts that really stand out from among the competition. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting to see what they're going to do with it, and yeah, that's it for now. Let's see what song I will review next. I have no idea. I haven't really planned anything, but it's been fun to do this one, and hopefully I'll see all of you in a video very soon again. Take care of yourselves until then though, and bye for now.